Hey everyone, James Rath here. It's time for a new blind Q&A. It's been a little over half a year since the last one, so let's just get right back into it. I'm actually here in Minneapolis this weekend speaking at the American Nystagmus Network conference. So I finished my talk today and I talked about tips living with nystagmus and sort of like what it's like. And for those who aren't aware, nystagmus is one of my two ocular conditions, and it's where my eyes are constantly moving back and forth, and everything in my vision is basically constantly moving, like a blurry motion. So the first question comes from Katie on Instagram, and Siri, you mind reading that to me? Because I don't read.
In what ways does your blindness due to nystagmus differ from others that are legally blind? I mean this in more than just the physical ways.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this question correctly, and I'm answering this because I'm here at Nystagmus Network conference, so it just makes sense. So I have albinism and I have nystagmus, but you're asking more on the nystagmus side. How do my eyes differ more than just the physical, which is the eyes shaking, the movement? Probably the way I see as well, because I mean, you know, when you're looking at my eyes, you see this eye movement, but you probably aren't thinking about how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing everything kind of in motion, probably some frames that are dropped. I don't see things maybe as smoothly. And with the albinism, that's, you know, light is overexposed, so not everyone has photophobia. And again, blindness is a spectrum. Sometimes people only see light. Sometimes people see way too much light. Sometimes people don't see enough light. If you're somewhere on the spectrum of blindness, it's going to differ for everyone. I mean, I'm very much curious about all the people here at the Nystagmus conference who see differently than I do. We all might have this similar thing where our eyes are shaking in one way or another, but we all sort of get different results from that. Sometimes people are seeing the eye movement, sometimes they're not. Sometimes people's eyes move up and down. Sometimes they have other ocular conditions like myself that kind of overlay and play a part with the nystagmus. So it's interesting, and I find it very fascinating just learning about everyone's eyes here. So question 2 comes from another Katie from Twitter this time. Siri, go right ahead.
What do you think of simulations that emulate what it's like to be blind or visually impaired? Do you feel they raise awareness or aren't truly effective?
So I've always been about simulations just to kind of give people an idea of what it's like to see through my eyes. Now, they're never going to have the full perspective, that's for sure. At the same time, at least it gives them a better idea. I don't know what it's like for a sighted person to live. It might not be as hard, to be honest. But, you know, I don't fully understand the perspective of being totally sighted. I don't understand, like, how someone can look in one direction, keep their eyes still, and just know what something is or know all the fine details from such a far distance. You know, I'm looking outside here at a building across from me. Sighted people are always able to see other people in other people's windows, and I don't understand how you can see that. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm zooming in on people's windows. I probably shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, back on the topic of simulations. I want to be introducing a lot more simulations in my videos. I think it's the best way for people when I bring on sighted people onto my channel to really understand how I'm experiencing something, you know? Expect to see some simulations on my channel. It's just to give the broader perspective. I'm for it. I'm for it. The final question comes from BQ. That's just your name on your profile. Not sure if that's your name or what you go by, but
I've had nystagmus since birth, but my ophthalmologist never really explained as I got older. Is further eyesight loss associated with nystagmus? Do you have any advice for using a cane in public as a person who is partially sighted, dealing with the whole "you're not really blind" stigma?
As far as I'm aware, nystagmus by itself does not get worse over time. What it's at is kind of what it's going to be at. Unless there's actual physical harm or something done to the head from like concussions or head injuries, you shouldn't see any worse results from nystagmus once you have it. I could be completely wrong, so don't quote me on that. I'm not a professional, but that's just what my ophthalmologist told me in my case. Then again, I was born with it. So, and tips for using a cane. This is something I touched on here at the conference. You'll be able to check out the full talk once it's uploaded. I'm not sure when that's gonna be. I will tweet it out. So again, be sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. Maybe I'll do a little Instagram story post about it. But my answer to this is just deal with it. And don't just like deal with it, but I use a cane. People see me using a cane when I like get off the subway and all of a sudden I'm getting on one of those like city ride sharing bike. They're like, what? What's happening? See, a cane does not mean total blindness. Do totally blind people use a cane? Yes, but some totally blind people use a dog instead or use a sighted guide instead, and that's totally cool. Every person with a visual impairment or who is on the spectrum of blindness and legal blindness have their own ways of adapting, and My eyes, I need a cane sometimes, other times I don't need a cane. That's the thing with nystagmus is it's constantly fluctuating for me. My eyes are like, cool, good, ready to go 1 hour. And then the next hour, I'm exhausted. I need to shut my eyes. I need to let them rest, but I can't stop. I can't stop what I'm doing. I might be working, I might be doing something, and that's when I have to adapt to being totally blind for a little bit. In those scenarios where I'm adapting, I use things like a cane, I use voiceover, I use all kinds of assistive technology, and that's what I recommend people do, you know? I'm advocating for people to learn Braille, even if you weren't offered it in like mainstream growing up. It's just a good skill to have because then you can read without ever having to strain your eyes or get distracted with auditory. That might be me, but I get a little bit distracted when I'm just only listening to something. I think there's all kinds of ways to adapt, and that's an opportunity to really educate people. There's a spectrum of blindness, and you're using it because you need it. At least you were able to get their attention, and they were notified that you have a visual impairment. Now tell them that blindness isn't an on and off switch, it's a spectrum. And you need different things at different times. Maybe you need something differently all the time. I don't know. That's just my answer. Blindness is a spectrum, and that's what I try to just ingrain in people's heads because people don't get it, you know? And that's just kind of what you gotta do. You gotta advocate for yourself. You can't just take it. You can't just deal with it, you know, like I said. But in a way, deal with it, but advocate for yourself. That's my tips. That's my tricks. And my answers to your questions. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below if you agree with any of my answers. If not, tell me your suggestions. Do you have your own answers to these questions? Let me know down below. If you like this video and you want to support me, I have a Patreon, guys. If you want to support me on Patreon, help me do what I love to do and what I love to do for you guys. You can check that out down below. There's some perks. Follow me on my social media and subscribe if you like this video. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. And this is a super bright window. I can't see anything. Bye. That's not the lens. That's the lens. Cool. Bye.